All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to jump on here real quick. I had to talk about this TikTok deal and wanted to share this article with you. I don't know how many of y'all remember when me and Matt had Allison Morrow on our channel maybe a week or two ago, and we were talking about the TikTok bill, and there's this really big deal about the TikTok bill, and it's called the TikTok bill. And actually, the TikTok bill has nothing to do with TikTok, but the congressional hearings and the premise were all about, China bad, and they were grilling the Chinese dude, the representative from TikTok, and trying to make him look all stupid, and the Republicards were like, yeah, see, and all that stuff. So I want to share this article with you. I'll put the link to the article down below. This just came out on Mint Press News. TikTok, Chinese Trojan horse is run by State Department officials. Okay, so much for China bad and China spying and China spying, when we know from the Twitter files, and we know since the beginning of time, and we know since In-Q-Tel and Google and all these like mega mainframe databases that suck up all the electricity and steal all the water while us plebs, have to do without for the sake of Mother Gaia and all that stuff. While the State Department and their mega mainframes chew electricity and eat water and redirect water to cool these mainframes, okay? Amid a national hysteria claiming the popular video sharing app is a Chinese Trojan horse, a Mint Press News investigation has found dozens of ex-U.S. State Department officials working in key positions at TikTok. Many more individuals with backgrounds in the FBI, CIA, and other departments of national security state also hold influential posts at the social media giant, affecting the content that over 1 billion users see. If TikTok is all China bad, China is doing this to, spoil our children, and the only TikTok that the Chinese kids see is like all this educational stuff, right? Somebody explain to me how and why China is allowing all of these U.S. State Department officials to work at TikTok. Somebody explain that to me. Unless they're all in on it together, unless it's Operation Lockstep, unless this is the way it works. And the way the New World Order works is that all of these countries feign sovereignty, and they feign this World War III and all this stuff. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they're all in on it together. They're all working together, while American politicians demand the app be banned on a national security grounds, try to force through an internet surveillance act that would turn the country into an Orwellian state, make clueless statements about how TikTok is dangerous because it connects to your Wi-Fi. It is possible that TikTok is already much closer to Washington than it is to Beijing. State Department affiliated media. For quite some time, TikTok has been recruiting former State Department officials to run its operations. The company's head of data public policy for Europe, for example, is Jade Nestor. Before being recruited for that influential role, Nestor was a senior official in Washington, serving for 4 years as the State Department's director of Internet Public Policy. Mariola Yannick, meanwhile, left a long and fruitful career in the government to work for TikTok. Starting out at the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs, Yannick became a career diplomat in the State Department before moving to the Department of Homeland Security. In September, however, she left the government to immediately take up the position of TikTok's Trust and Safety Program Manager, a job that will inevitably include removing content and reshaping algorithms. While there is no suggestion that Yannick is anything other than a model employee, the fact that the U.S. government agent walked into such an influential position at the social media giant should be cause for concern. If, for instance, a high Chinese official was hired to influence what the U.S. public saw in their social media feeds, it would likely be the counterpiece of the TikTok fervor currently gripping Washington. Yannick is not the only former security official working on TikTok's trust and safety team, however. Between 2008 and 2021, Christian Cardona enjoyed a distinguished career at the State Department, serving in Poland, Turkey, and Oman, and was in the thick of the U.S. interventionism in the Middle East. Between 2012 and 2013, he was an assistant to the U.S. ambassador in Kabul. He later left the role to become the political and military affairs manager for Iran. In the summer of 2021, he went straight from his top State Department job to become product policy manager for trust and safety at TikTok, a position that on paper he appears completely unqualified for. Earlier this year, Cardona left the company. Another influential individual at TikTok is recruiting coordinator Katrina Valicineros. Yet before she was choosing whom the company hires, Valicineros worked at the State Department's Official of Human Rights and Humanitarian Affairs. And until 2021, she was part of the Army Cyber Command, the U.S. military unit that oversees cyber attacks and information warfare online. She literally worked for the U.S. military, and now she's working at TikTok, and TikTok is supposed to be this communist Chinese Trojan horse that just so happens to employ dozens and dozens and dozens of our ex-military, State Department, CIA, FBI. Other TikTok employees with long histories in the U.S. national security state behind Brad Ehrman, global lead of criminal and civil investigations, who spent 21 years as a special agent in the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and also worked as a program manager for anti-terrorism at the State Department. Wow, that's weird, because that sounds like the guys that are trying to stop the bad guys, the anti-American people, because it's saying that they're anti-terrorism. And Ryan Walsh, escalations management lead for trust and safety at TikTok, who until 2020 was the government's senior advisor for digital strategy. Central part of Walsh's State Department job, his own resume notes, was advancing supportive narratives. That's called propaganda, y'all. When they talk about advancing supportive narratives for the U.S. and NATO online, that's called government propaganda. Here's Ryan Walsh's bio here. Make breakthroughs happen. Ryan Walsh, risk and rapid response lead at TikTok, ex-State Department official, ex-Goldman Sachs. Oh, well, look, he probably works with Jamie Dimon and the gang, or that's JP Morgan Chase. I get my global bankers mixed up. I'm thinking of Geithner. I forget all the globalist bankers. I get my globalist banks mixed up. He's got escalation management lead at TikTok. He's got intelligence director for digital platforms. He's got U.S. State Department senior advisor for digital strategy and the Bureau of Global Public Affairs. He was a resident fellow for Counter Disinfo, U.S. Advisory Commission on Public Diplomacy. So his position was Counter Disinfo. You can't make this stuff up, man. This is crazy. If you haven't noticed, I mean, everything that happens at the District of Criminals, everything that happens with congressional hearings is an absolute dog and pony show. It means absolutely nothing. There's no such thing as under oath. There's no such thing as perjury. None of this stuff matters. None of it means anything. It is absolutely all words. And that quote unquote TikTok bill is just a gigantic track trace, panopticon mess. Walsh, therefore, is illustrative of a broader wave of individuals who have moved from governments attempting to manipulate the global town square to private companies where they're entrusted to keep the public safe from exactly the sort of state-backed influence operations their former colleagues are orchestrating. In short, then, this system, whereby recently retired government officials decide what the world sees and does not see online, is one step removed from state censorship on a global level. For all the talk of digital influence operations emanating from Russia or other adversaries, the United States is surely the worst offender when it comes to manipulating public opinion online. It is known, for instance, that the Department of Defense employs an army of at least 60,000 people whose job it is to influence the public sphere, most of whom serve as keyboard warriors and trolls aiming to promote U.S. government or military interests. And earlier this year, the Twitter files exposed how social media giants collaborated with the Pentagon. I like to call it the pentagram, to help run online influence operations and fake news campaigns aimed at regime change in the Middle East. And we don't feed the trolls on our channel. So when you get all these weird, spurious like responses and it's all like, yeah, I'm a civil war and all that stuff, yeah, they usually get blocked because that's just troll talk. And most of the time they're on the dole, they're on the public payroll. So we know feed the trolls. Don't mess with Project Texas. The influx of State Department officials into TikTok's upper ranks is a consequence of Project Texas, an initiative the company began in 2020 in the hopes of avoiding being banned altogether in the U.S. During his time in office, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo led the charge to shut the platform down, frequently labeling it a spying app and a propaganda tool for the Chinese Communist Party. It was widely reported that the U.S. government had forced the sale of TikTok to Walmart and then Microsoft. But in late 2020, as Project Texas began, those deals mysteriously fell through, and the rhetoric about the dangers of TikTok from officials evaporated. Project Texas is a $1.5 billion security operation to move the company's data to Austin. In doing so, it announced that it was partnering with tech giant Oracle, a corporation, as Mint Press has reported on, is the CIA, all but in name. And it's a gigantic paper cutout. It's a CIA front. Evidently, Project Texas also secretly included hiring all managers of U.S. national security state personnel to oversee the company's operations, and not just from the State Department. Rebecca Pober, for instance, moved straight from her post in strategy and policy at the Pentagram to become a U.S. policy manager at TikTok. A number of influential TikTok employees are former longtime CIA agents. Alex S., the company's former trust and safety global content integrity policy lead, was previously a leadership analyst at agency headquarters in Langley, Virginia. For almost 9 years before the CIA, she worked for the State Department and U.S. Pacific Command. Casey Getz, meanwhile, there's more of our military working at TikTok than CCP military. What a dog and pony show. Casey Getz, meanwhile, spent 11 years in the CIA, rising to become branch chief before later being hired by TikTok to work on data security and security integration. And if it's this Chinese Trojan horse, why would you hire all these CIA and ex-military to be the head of your security? It is literally the exact opposite of the way they paint this whole thing. And probably they'll start blaming them at the next election for interfering with the election. And according to the resume of TikTok's trust and safety manager, Bo Pateson, not only was he a CIA targeting analyst until 2020, he is also a currently serving military intelligence officer in the U.S. Army while moonlighting at the social media behemoth. Indeed, virtually every branch of the national security state is present at TikTok. Before becoming the company's trust and safety manager, Catherine Grant spent more than 3 years working at the White House before moving to the National Security Council and then the Department of Energy. Her TikTok trust and safety colleague, Victoria McCullough, has a similar state-heavy background, working 2 years at the Department of Homeland Security before joining Grant at the White House, where she was an associate director in the Office of Public Engagement, propaganda arm. And TikTok crisis manager Jim Ammon served for more than 21 years as the unit chief in the FBI. Meanwhile, a 2022 Mint Press study described what is called a NATO to TikTok pipeline, whereby dozens of officials from the military alliance had also been given jobs in key fields within the company. Perhaps the most startling of these hires were Greg Anderson, whose own LinkedIn profile noted that he worked on psychological operations, PSYOPs, for NATO immediately before moving to work in social media. Former state officials are overwhelmingly being appointed to politically sensitive positions such as security and trust and safety, rather than more neutral trust and safety. Trust and safety. Is that like safe and effective? And it's so interesting how DARPA and the military was so tied to safe and effective. And now we got all these deep state and intelligence state officials that are all tied up in trust and safety, rather than more neutral departments like customer service and sales. While this article is not specifically arguing that any of the individuals listed here are unworthy of consideration for their posts, taken as a whole, together with dozens of other spooks, spies, and mandarins not profiled here, it is difficult to understand this phenomenon other than as a power play from the U.S. government to try to establish control over one of the world's most popular, fastest growing social media companies. Political theater. TikTok is an immensely influential media shaping how the world understands itself, particularly for younger generations. A 2021 study found that 31% of people aged between 18 and 24 worldwide had used the app in the past week, with 9% using the app as a primary source of news. This is no doubt part of the reason U.S. officials are so concerned with it. Last month, TikTok CEO Chu Shou-zi was brought before Congress and challenged on his company's connections to the People's Republic of China. Though TikTok is a subsidiary of Chinese firm ByteDance, and insists it operates as an independent entity and that it has never shared any user data with Beijing. Nevertheless, questions persist about the app's practices and security features. Unfortunately, the opportunity to integrate Chu on more substantive issues was overtaken by political grandstanding from elected officials who seemed uninterested in his answers and more concerned with scoring political points or achieving quotable sound bites. There was also more than an undertone of xenophobia throughout the event, with Chu on multiple occasions having to remind his questioners that he was not in fact Chinese, only for them to ignore him and to continue to insinuate that he was. Republican Senator Tom Cotton went further, demanding that Chu be deported and insisting that we cannot allow Chinese citizens or anyone affiliated with the Communist Party of China to own one more inch of American soil. Now, I agree with him on the American soil part and letting foreign countries own American soil, but when dozens and dozens and dozens of their internal employees in critical components and in propaganda arms and trust and safety are all ex-military, ex-CIA, ex-FBI, I mean, this is clearly not the working of the CCP. I mean, this is all just political theater. We're committed to providing a safe and secure platform that fosters an inclusive pace for our amazing, diverse communities to call home. It is a shame today's conversation felt rooted in xenophobia wrote TikTok COO Vanessa Pappas. Chu was also subject to bizarre questions from politicians entirely ignorant of how modern telecommunications work. Well, welcome to Washington, D.C. Congressman Richard Hudson asked whether TikTok could access Wi-Fi networks, a question so obvious it left Chu assuming he had misunderstood the question. Meanwhile, Buddy Carter demanded to know whether the app utilizes users' phone cameras to track dilation in their eyes, that they could make market shocking videos more effectively to them. Watching clueless congressperson asking boomer questions was hard to watch, concluded tech magazine Futurism. So I'm going to attach this article. Y'all can finish reading it. But I find this incredibly interesting how, one, there was all this concern over all the political theater around TikTok, that then all of a sudden there was this gigantic TikTok bill that actually had nothing to do with TikTok. And we discussed that in our interview with Allison Morrow about how the TikTok bill was really just a super gigantic policing the internet censorship bill and a way to evaporate people online and evaporate businesses online and to disappear you online. And I don't even think it mentioned TikTok. And then to find out after the political dog and pony show of the congressional hearings with TikTok and all the dumb questions they asked, to find out that just dozens and dozens and dozens of State Department, CIA, ex-CIA, ex-FBI, ex-National Security, ex-Department of Homeland Security, ex-Army, ex-Air Force, all these military folks, unless they're all communist defectors and this is some kind of McCarthyism Red Scare and we're going to like shake them all out or something, which, you know, we're just watching the propaganda repeat itself. This is just incredible to me, and it's so in your face and it's so deliberate and it's so out in the open. And between the Twitter files and Mark Zuckerberg, I think that article even talks about Zuckerberg. And when you get into Meta and Zuckerberg, and even how he's met with even all these right-wing conservatives like Glenn Beck and like Daily Wire, and how Ben Shapiro spends millions of dollars advertising on Facebook, even though they hate conservatives. You know, it's all dog and pony show. It is really, it is, there's an enormous amount of propaganda. I would not be on TikTok anyway. And there's just better reasons to not be on TikTok. And that's just what makes it even more disturbing by what's on there, because it is all about propaganda. It is all about mind control, and they're controlling you. And it's all the State Department that's controlling these kids, these young kids. But that article popped up and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I turned the camera on and I just wanted to go through this real quick. But we appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll look into this. I found it very fascinating. And this is a value for value proposition. So if you do like what we do here, please go on over to the Texas Boys. You can see we kind of remodeled the studio again. We keep working on it. We're trying to make it better and better. We got 3 camera setups and a little more better lighting and high definition. We're going to make our interview studio a little bit nicer. So we keep working on it. We're trying, y'all, and trying to make the website better. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. We got some really great interviews coming up here this week. So please stay tuned and we will see y'all on the next video. Don't forget to check us out on Rumble and make sure that you're subscribed to our Rumble and our backup channel. And we'll see you all in the next video. Bye.